Welcome everyone. It's great to see such a big crowd. This is our first presentation of high school students at STEMAway. If you're interested in the program, you want to learn more about the program, get a real feel for the program, the best way to do it is to see the work of previous students. And today we have a wonderful set of students presenting all the STEMAway pathways. STEMAway is a full career hub along with the internships, which is a critical first step. We have a networking hub, we have a hiring portal, but over and above all this, it's our dream that every student on STEMAway really gets to experience the joy of problem solving. Because once you experience that joy, once you have an aha moment which you share with your teammates, you will be able to tackle any hurdle that you face in your careers. Our projects are extremely challenging. Does that mean that you have to be the student who can walk on water to get into the program? No. But you do have to be the student who wants to walk on water, to really have that passion, because there's absolutely no substitute for passion. If you're here today and the first thought in your mind is, how many hours per week is this internship? You are not in the right place. But if you're here today and you're thinking, when is she going to stop speaking so that I can learn about this wonderful pathways? You're absolutely in the right place. But a little bit about myself. My name is Debelina, and I am the founder and CEO of STEMAway. My passion is with data patterns. I'm not a mathematician. I would have loved to have been one, but I do know the fundamentals of math. And my strength is in taking these data patterns and creating innovative solutions with them in hardware. I hold several patents in processors. So there's a very high chance that right now you're using a piece of hardware which has my design in it. I've worked extensively in several microprocessor companies and most recently at Intel. So it feels extremely satisfying to be able to say a sentence like that, that there is a probability that you're using a hardware that has my design in it. And our goal is to have all of you not just get your first job, but to be able to say statements like that, to get real fulfillment from your job. And taking you on that journey, we have our co-host today, incredible students. STEMAway is a business, but it is also very personal for me. So I have become close to the students, and it is my extreme pleasure to introduce you to Sarah and Shreyash. Sarah, over to you.
Hello everyone, my name is Sarah Ryan Purcell, and thank you Debelina for the introduction. I have to say the STEMAway experience last summer was something that will certainly stand to me throughout my life, because it gives us high school students, I am also just graduated from high school, it gives us the opportunity to engage in cutting edge research with real life applications. So the goals are team-centric collaborative projects throughout the internship, and this is based on our mentor chain. So at the top of the mentor chain are the STEMAway mentors. These are STEM professionals who spent years studying in the chosen fields. Shreyash will look into the actual various fields and pathways later on. The second in the mentor chain are the leads. So these are students who wish to challenge themselves in leading fellow students. So if you have a certain apt for any of these pathways or even extensive experience, you can share that experience. So STEMAway provides a safe place to take risks, and there's always the safety net of everyone around STEMAway to help you out. The third step in the mentor chain are the participants. So these are almost the most important part of the mentor chain. These are the people who are carrying out the tasks. These are probably going to be you. Well, we'd encourage people to apply for leads. So if you're comfortable with a participant role, push yourself a bit further and see if you might adventure into a lead position. But a participant is going to carry out the primary tasks of the project, end-to-end execution, involving both lateral and strategic thinking, where you're collaborating with people from across the globe. And then finally is the observers, and they are people less comfortable in the field who might just watch so that they can soon become a participant. Last summer, we observed, pardon the pun, a huge shift from observer to participant. Many people, they got so excited from watching the projects that they didn't want to be the observers anymore. They wanted to be in the action. So, as I said, it's a safe environment to push your boundaries. But these projects aren't simply for the joy of problem solving, even though that is quite a justifiable reason. The projects are designed to have real life applications, to pursue your passion in any of the prescribed pathways. So don't be afraid to make mistakes, because STEMAway, unlike industry where sometimes you can't afford to make mistakes, here you can. And STEMAway always has the safety net, because you're surrounded by like-minded individuals taking equally sizable risks, and you can all pick up the pieces together. But while failures are an undeniable component of STEM pursuits and risk-taking, we don't want to focus on them today. We want to show you the successes of the group of high schoolers as they present their work from last summer, and so we can inspire you to join us in this STEMAway journey. We put emphasis on soft skills and developing them through technical skills. So now let's have a look at bioinformatics pathway. Personally, I experienced a rapid learning curve last summer as I ramped up my bioinformatics skills just in time for the start of the session. I had the necessary biology knowledge, but no prior coding experience in OR. So after a series of crash courses, Eve's STEMAway tutorials, and nagging my brother, who is very skilled at coding, I was ready to become project manager of the bioinformatics pathway. So bioinformatics is where biology and information technology meet together, and how one can enhance the other field. Our chosen pipeline for our internships last summer consisted of three main parts: normalization and quality control, differential gene expression analysis, and finally functional analysis, where we looked at the real-life applications of our work.
So how do we get this data? We use microarray sequencing, where an experiment with a single chip or array can provide information on thousands of genes simultaneously. Each dot that you see in the image is referred to as a probe, and it represents a specific genetic sequence. In microarray expression analysis, the sample has genes from both the normal as well as the diseased tissues, which are distinguished using dyes. So most of our data will have similar expression levels. So if we can isolate probe sets that appear to have significantly different expression levels, we can eliminate possible outliers. So there are many quality control packages as listed under the main tools section, and it's a good idea to use multiple packages in order to get a high level of quality control, because some plots may miss certain outliers. Expression levels are the rate at which a gene is transcribed. So if a gene is involved in a disease, you may see high expression levels called an upregulated gene, or low expression levels called a downregulated gene. If the gene isn't involved in the disease, you shouldn't see any variation in the expression levels between a healthy and diseased sample.
So throughout the course of this bioinformatics pipeline, we use many different tools for functional analysis, and the first of which was Gene Ontology, using the enriched geo function in R, the programming language we use. And now, while it is important to note that the deregulated genes are not the only indications of how a disease is progressing, the imbalance between upregulated genes and downregulated genes, which Disha did talk about, they do help shed some light on the progression of a disease. Okay, so why does this matter? Why are we actually doing this project? So one thing that STEMAway has really emphasized is that it's not just about getting the results. We have to analyze the data that we get and try to actually understand what's going on. How does it conform to what we already understand, and what new things does it actually teach us? So let's think about it through a biological lens again. Genes, as we know, are the fundamental units that dictate bodily functions by coding for proteins. So we can use the functional analysis to see how these proteins are involved in certain pathways that correlate to the progression of a disease, such as colorectal cancer. And you guys might, in your internship, study the progression of a different disease.
Now we're going to move into the design phase of our internship program. So we began with paper prototypes. Once we had gone through the steps that Kali outlined earlier, empathize, ideate, and design, and then heading into design. So we just came up with our ideas on paper, just kind of threw everything down on a sheet of paper, a rough sketch. Then we moved into turning these paper prototypes into low fidelity prototypes. This is on Figma. Basically, low fidelity means we're not going to bother with color or fancy features. You just want the bare bones of your design. That's because if you put in color and everything, whoever you test your low fidelity prototype on, they'll end up critiquing your color choices, and they might lose focus on what you actually want to achieve in your prototype. Then once you've conducted your usability testing, you look for feedback, and then you iterate on your design as a result. So as I said, we collaborated with Full Stack. One of the Full Stack student stakeholders said, please bring back the timeline. And for those of you familiar with the STEMAway website, there's a little timeline on the side of a discussion post, and it'll tell you when people have been last on the post and when people posted. So we had removed that because some people found it confusing, but obviously it was something that we shouldn't mess with. And then distinguish comments from replies. And then our founding stakeholder, Debelina, also missed the timeline. So we were definitely bringing that back in for the high fidelity prototype. And she asked, in anticipation of our high fidelity prototype, that we consider company branding with the color scheme. So this was our high fidelity design, also designed on Figma. I'd just like to point out that only 2 of our interns on our team had previous experience on Figma. So this shows you what you can achieve in such a short space of time, and how you can develop a very valuable skill and transferable skill into future.
Empathy maps helps in understanding how potential users will navigate the one-click resume, and also the overall impression of the feature in the STEMAway platform. We as a team drew upon our own experiences with resume and asked questions like, how are users think and feel about the one-click resume or the STEMAway platform? What do they hear? What do they see? What do they say and do? Then comes the user research. First, we need to be aware of the type of people we're going to interview. And that's why we choose the 3 target populations as taken from the stakeholder map.
I'll be doing a panel discussion with Arushi and Kamya, leads from our vaping detection and mitigation pathway. Then we will have a look at the design phase of user experience.
I was interested in this project because when I was part of this internship last summer, I actually was a senior in high school who had just graduated, and I'd come from high school where I saw vaping firsthand in my high school. I just thought the whole idea of the project was really interesting, and the fact that we could figure out ways to actually mitigate and help put a stop to it, because it's really a huge problem. And through this project, we were hoping to bring more awareness to the problem. And high schoolers honestly don't have much of an idea of how vaping can impact lifelong health. So that was the main reason that we decided that we wanted to research.
I believe you had significant success with your team's paper. Could you elaborate on this, please?
Sure. So in the last 2 weeks of our internship, our team created a final report which had all of our research and our block diagrams for our own design. It had our recommendations for what schools and governments can take, what actions they can take to mitigate the vaping epidemic. And so we had all of that in one extremely, really long report. And an opportunity arose for submitting a paper to the MIT IEEE Undergraduate Research and Technology Conference. And they were accepting submissions from high school and undergraduate researchers. So what I did was I took our team's work and pared it down a bit to focus on the technology and on our unique design that focuses that includes an interconnect signal between the vaping detectors.
Where would you see yourself carrying over this experience, both technically and soft skill wise, into the future?
That's actually a really good question, because just started college and I'm a computer science and engineering major. I actually didn't think that I would get as much technological knowledge as I did, and seeing how like what I learned here could be applied in so many other aspects was so amazing. So, and honestly, after this internship, I was really interested in learning more about what we could do with FPGAs. And I would say soft skills wise, being a lead was honestly an amazing opportunity. I was a little intimidated at first, because I wasn't sure if I would be able to handle the responsibilities, because I was the team lead and I was also the pathway lead, so I was scared that I wouldn't be able to. But it gave me a lot of soft skills, like organization wise, time management wise, and those are skills that I'll definitely carry along with me in future internships and jobs as well.
So now I'm going to finish talking, and I am going to enter into conversation with Ethan Armbruster. He was a participant on my UX team in June. So thank you, Ethan, for joining us. And Ethan, can you explain the impact of collaboration in your team, especially when you're working with people who have a greater skill level than you or who are older than you?
Yeah, it was really interesting for me because in high school, I took business classes and I thought I knew what I was doing. And when I went in, I realized I really knew nothing. So it's really cool to learn from people like you, how to really evaluate what the customers need and how to focus on them. Because when I was going into it, I was really concentrated in the UX realm of designing things based on what my needs are, not really the user. So it was really cool to see that. And in terms of meeting new people, in UX, as she said, it's really blind to who you are. So you meet a ton of different people, and among the web thing that she's talking about earlier, how it's all interconnected. By collaborating with Full Stack too, I met a ton of new people who I'm all connected on LinkedIn now. So it was really cool networking opportunity as well.
What are your kind of takeaways of what you learned and what you know now compared to what you knew before you came in?
I really learned the importance of doing a persona before, because I knew what it was, but I really didn't concentrate on doing that. But it was really cool when we designed ours, because it really helped us concentrate our ideas of our ideal user on the STEMAway platform into a person, which really helped us develop the best possible prototype we could.
So now I just wish to share one last slide to show just the power of UX research, UX prototyping. This is a UX prototype of the recruiter's side of STEMAway. So when you're doing an internship, recruiters might be watching out to see how you're achieving your levels of engagement on the platform, and maybe future opportunities that might come your way. So Ethan also touched on this, but the STEMAway internship is not a lone journey. It's very much team-centric, and a huge emphasis placed on collaboration with like-minded people, but from diverse backgrounds. So we're from across the globe, but we certainly have one thing in common. We're all passionate about STEM. Then you layer on our passion about the individual fields, our passion for finding out more, always kind of seeking to push our boundaries, push our limits. And as I said earlier, STEMAway always has a safety net, so you're never afraid to take a step further. You always just, if you're comfortable at level 1, go to level 2. And if you're comfortable at level 2, just fly through the ceiling. So from my own experience, Ethan also touched on this, I've made great friends, and I've learned so much from them, not only technically. As a younger student, I was only a senior last summer also. So I was one of the youngest in my group, but I went to lead a user experience project, and the following session, I was pathway lead of the bioinformatics project. I learned so much from my fellow leads, many of whom were far more experienced. But I also learned from them technically and in the soft skills approach. I also developed skills in organization, critical thinking, and management. But not only that, the STEMAway internship certainly prepared me exceptionally well for college, especially as I entered the all-new online environment. I had an extra edge with skills in time management, online collaboration, and motivation, well developed after partaking in both the June and July sessions. So I hope that you can get a taste of this this evening, this morning, this afternoon, and that you may allow that interest to develop over the year. I encourage you to enter the pathway hubs so that you can ramp up your skills and be good to go come June next year. So that's me wrapping up. Shreyash and Deblina, I'm sure, would like to say a few words. Thank you again for joining us. And if you've any further questions, just place them into the Q&A, or you can also hop onto the STEMAway platform and do a bit of investigating. Thank you.